If you've ever stood in the kitchen eating, not because you were hungry, but because something else was happening, and you've asked yourself, why do I keep doing this? Then this video is for you. Because the answer isn't because you love food too much, or it's not because you have no willpower. It's also not because you're weak, or there's something inherently wrong with you, or you haven't tried hard enough. The answer is actually really about your nervous system, your emotional capacity, the biology of what restriction does to a hungry brain, and the fact that eating became somewhere along the way the most reliable coping tool available to you. So I'm Dr. Beverley Marais. I'm a psychologist specializing in binge and emotional eating, and I'm also the founder of the Become program. I want to spend the next few minutes walking you through the full picture, because when people genuinely understand this, sometimes something shifts. Emotional eating at its core is a nervous system response. When we experience overwhelming emotion, anxiety, loneliness, stress, boredom, shame, our nervous system needs to return to safety. That's a biological drive, and it's not optional. And the tools for returning to safety are limited. If you've never been taught how to regulate our nervous systems, or if we're in a period where capacity is stretched thin, the system reaches for the fastest available option. And for a huge number of people, the fastest option is food. So food activates the brain's reward and soothing systems. It genuinely does bring short-term physiological relief. It works. Not long-term, not without cost, but in the moment, it works. So when someone eats in response to feeling overwhelmed, they're not weak. They're doing something their nervous system has learned to do. A coping strategy that actually was once adaptive, but is now running on autopilot. Understanding this is the first thing that begins to reduce shame, because shame makes it worse, and I'll come back to that. Now let's talk about the restrict binge cycle, because for many people the eating pattern isn't just emotional, it's also biological. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a diet and a famine. When you restrict, whether that's skipping meals, cutting out food groups, or holding elaborate mental food rules, your brain reads that as scarcity, and it responds accordingly. Food preoccupation increases, hunger signals intensify, the cognitive resources that are supposed to help you self-regulate are diverted towards food seeking, and the threshold at which control can be sustained drops significantly. So eventually and predictably, biologically, something is going to give. And the culture, our culture, tends to call that failure of willpower. And it's really not. It's homeostasis. It's your body doing exactly what bodies are designed to do when they believe that survival is threatened. And that's why diets make binge eating worse for many people. The restriction creates the very biological conditions for the binge to happen. So if you've been trying to control your eating through more restriction and it hasn't worked, it's not because you haven't tried hard enough. It's because restriction is often the fuel for the fire. Now, underneath both of these, the nervous system response and the biological cycle, is usually an emotional layer. The feelings that were really never given anywhere to go. Anxiety, perhaps, that got suppressed rather than soothed. Loneliness that never got named. Frustration, perhaps, that had no outlet. Or even a chronic sense of not being enough. These feelings don't disappear when we overeat them. They accumulate, and the more they accumulate, the more pressure builds, and the more urgently the system then needs relief. The eating silences that signal, but that signal was actually trying to tell us something about perhaps what you need, what's missing, what's too much, what's too little. And when we finally slow down enough to hear it, to name the feeling rather than escape it, something tends to change. Again, not overnight or all at once, but the relationship between feeling and eating begins to shift when the feeling becomes something survivable rather than something that has to be escaped. Now that's the work of emotional capacity, learning to be with difficult internal states, not alone, not through force, but through gradual, safe, supported expansion of what you can hold. So now what actually helps? Because I want to be direct about this. More restriction doesn't help. Diets don't help, not for this pattern in any case. Willpower-based approaches don't address the nervous system dysregulation underneath. What helps is nervous system regulation, specific repeated practices that build your system's capacity to return to safety without needing food to do it. What helps is reducing the biological pressure of restriction, not through chaotic eating, but through consistent, unconflicted nourishment that gives your body the signal that it's safe. What helps is working with the emotional drivers, learning to name feelings, to tolerate discomfort, to sit with what's difficult long enough to understand what it actually needs. What helps is addressing shame, because shame is dysregulating, and a dysregulated system will always reach for food faster. And what helps consistently and evidentially is doing this work with support, not alone or through another app, but in a genuine therapeutic space where all these layers can be addressed together. And that's what the Become program is built on, the capacity framework, 5 domains of capacity that when built together, reduce the need for food to cope. Again, not through restriction or through willpower, through building what your system actually needs in order to not need food in the same way. And I want to leave you with this. There's nothing inherently wrong with you. You developed a coping strategy that made sense, given what you had available, given what you were living through. And that coping strategy, unfortunately, has costs now, but it was never a character flaw. And what was learned can be unlearned, gradually with support and in the right environment. If there's anything in this video that's landed for you, or you've been in this cycle and you're exhausted by it, let's talk. There's also a free quiz in the description that helps you understand what's actually driving your relationship with food, and that's a good place to start. And if you're ready to explore the Become program, there's a link to book a free discovery call below. Thank you for watching, and do subscribe if you want more of this. I post weekly or generally weekly on binge eating, emotional eating, and nervous system recovery.